Today we're going to take a look at the 425X. This is the intro level product of the all-new SportDOG X series. It's based on the 400 series that SportDOG has had around since they came out 15, 16 years ago. 425X is a very small, compact system, both collar and transmitter. One of my favorite designs as far as the transmitter goes. It's incredibly comfortable in the hand. 21 levels of stimulation, selectable from the transmitter. You've got waterproof, both collar and transmitter, submersible, long and short contact points, rapid charging, 500-yard range. System is expandable up to 3 dogs and has one of the greatest combination of things as far as buttons and dials. It is very comfortable even for folks with really large hands. It's one of the smallest transmitters that I've ever used that I'm comfortable using in the field. This collar is perfect for folks that don't need an excessive amount of range. It's a 500-yard range collar, so it's going to be perfect for anybody that's doing pet obedience training, and then a lot of hunters can actually use this product. I used one an entire duck season with my Labrador, and it was perfect for that. Small, easy to keep out of the way. Great for any sort of dog that's going to be at close range. Perfect for close working bird dogs. Perfect for flushing dogs, Labradors. Get away with even squirrel dogs with it. It's just great for anybody that's working with short range, close dogs. My favorite thing about this collar is going to be stimulation levels. The problem with the older 400 units was that they had limitations when it came to the number of stimulation levels. And so what SportDOG has done with this product is given us a 21 level option. So right out of the box, you've got low, medium, and high with 7 levels of stimulation, plus you have tone on the dial. So tone, 21 levels. That's great. I'm just not going to run into many dogs where that's going to be an issue as far as finding the right stimulation level. So you've got this really low start. It's incredibly smooth and gradual, and that's a great way to train a dog. You can hone in on that exact level, and this collar is going to be perfect for that. Only major dislike I'm going to have with this series is going to be in a multi-dog mode. Unlike some of the other units out there, this product does not have a toggle switch. And so when you move into a multi-dog mode, and this system will go up to 3 dogs, what happens is that you start to lose some features. So if you're running 2 dogs, 3 dogs at the same time, this collar is going to work for you. You're going to have just less stimulation levels, and you're going to have 1 button per dog. So you just need to factor that in. If you're going to do a lot of work with multiple dogs at the same time, you may want to look at the 1825X, which has a toggle switch on it and is going to not lose features when you expand. Size of this transmitter is great. It's incredibly small, yet not so small that it's hard to use. I find it very easy to use. I love the dial on this particular transmitter, and buttons are easy to not only get to, but also to distinguish between each other. You have a raised nub on the upper button, and then the lower button is smooth, so that way you can feel the difference between the two, and then you've got a side button. Collar is also one of the smallest ones on the market. It's going to work great on dogs in the 8 to 10 pound range, but also up to 100, 120 pounds. So small collar, small transmitter, just a great compact system. Really happy with what SportDOG's done with the 425. If you're looking at the 425X, there's a couple of other products out there that you want to take a look at. 2 of them are in the X series. There's a 425XS, which the S stands for stubborn dogs, and then there's the 425X Camo. The S and the Camo are both a slightly stronger stimulation product than the standard 425X. Mode-wise, they're the same. Size-wise, they're the same. The only difference in these 2 products is going to be actually the collar. SportDOG has 3 different collar modes. They have a low mode, a medium mode, and a high mode. And what that does is it changes the stimulation scheme on the collar. So the 425 comes out of the box in the medium mode. Most of my dogs over the years have always worked on the medium mode. It's rare that I have to use a low mode or a high mode. The 425X has the low mode and the medium mode. So if the collar is too strong for your dog, you can turn it down. On the 425XS, it has the medium collar mode and the high collar mode. It comes out of the box in the high collar mode, so you can turn it down to the medium mode, but you do not have the low mode option. I find it's rare that dogs need that high level collar, but it does happen. The 425X Camo also comes in the high mode, and it has the medium mode option. Everything else on the 425X, the 425XS, and the 425X Camo is the same. The only difference is in the collar function. Comparing the 425X to the previous generation 425, the major difference is going to be stimulation levels. The 425 only had a maximum of 7 stimulation levels, and those 7 levels were a little tight, in my opinion, on increases. They had jumps in them that were higher than I cared for. And some dogs just really couldn't handle that from a training standpoint. The 425X is designed to fix that problem. The 21 levels on it are incredibly smooth, and it's a very gradual increase. And that allows you to find that precise level for the dog and really hone in on what they need so that they understand what the stimulation means. Only other difference between the 425X and the previous 425 is going to be color scheme. They've gone with a gray matte finish. I really like it. It's a really classy looking unit. All right, let's talk about some of the details on the 425X. We're going to talk about range, stimulation, expandability, the transmitter, the collar, batteries, extra features, and what the unit comes with. The 425X is a 500-yard system. In my experience, you can get slightly more range out of that in ideal conditions, but it's listed as a 500-yard unit. I classify the 425X as a short-range system. Range is one of those things that too much is never a problem, but not enough can be an issue. 500 yards is a long way, but there's certain situations that range is going to come down, and so you've got to be careful about how you think about range. That is a line of sight number, and so you want to think about how much range do I need in the situations where I work my dog. Now let's talk about stimulation levels. The 425X comes out of the box in a 1-dog 21 level mode. That's continuous stimulation, which continuous means it stays on as long as you hold the button down. Once you release it, the stimulation cuts off. 21 levels gives you a low, medium, and high for each dial position. So that's 7 levels, low, medium, and high for a total of 21. It's a progressive stimulation. By that I mean that a low is going to be lower than a medium, medium's going to be lower than a high. When you turn the dial from 1 to 2, a high 1 is going to be lower than a low 2. So it's a gradual increase in stimulation. What's really cool about all of the X units is that they have the ability to change modes. And what that means is that you can program the transmitter and set it in different mode options. That gives you the ability to set the transmitter up in ways if you prefer different stimulation schemes. It has 7 levels of continuous, 7 levels of momentary. It has tone, it has vibration. It has multi-dog modes. So you can go in and set the unit how you want, but for most folks, right out of the box, it's going to be a 21 level, 1-dog system, perfect for most situations. The 425X series of collars is expandable. It comes in a 1-dog setup, but you can buy additional add-a-dog collars and turn this into a 2 or a 3-dog system. There are 2 different modes on the transmitter that allow you to work in a multi-dog setup. And what you're going to do is you're going to set the dial to the correct number for the mode, and then there's a push button on the back. You select that, use a pen or paper clip, and light's going to then flash back at you, tell you what mode you're in. So in a multi-dog mode, what happens is you have 1 button per dog. So in a 3-dog setup, it's going to be dog 1, dog 2, dog 3 on the side. Dial's going to control everybody, and so if you're on a 1, everybody's going to be on a 1. They don't get stimulated at the same time. You press 1 button for dog 1, you press a different button for dog 2. You also have 2 different options for your non-stimulation. You have the VT on the dial. What that stands for is vibe/tone, and so you have 2 different multi-dog setups. You can either have tone or vibe. And so that way what you do is you turn your dial to VT. In the tone setup, you're going to have tone, which there's your tone. And then if you prefer vibration, you can change the mode to the vibration setup. And in the VT position, then you would then have the vibration. One of the things about the 425X series of collars is that when you go into a multi-dog setup, you do lose some functionality. And by that I mean it's the number of stim levels. That's your choice. You're going to either have a one-dog setup that is a 21 level collar, or when you go into a multi-dog, you drop down to 7 levels. The 7 levels in it are a fine choice for dogs that know what they're supposed to be doing. And so it gives you that option of making minor corrections. But if you're doing a lot of training with multiple dogs, you need to think about something else. This collar is going to be a little too gradual, in my opinion, as far as stimulation levels to actually train in a multi-dog mode. Let's talk a little bit about the 425X transmitter. It's one of the smallest transmitters on the market, but it's not so small that it's uncomfortable even for large hands. For myself, it is incredibly tiny. But it's still very comfortable for me to use. I have used this transmitter in hunting situations multiple times. I used it for a whole season duck hunting and was very comfortable with it. The dial on it is a little different than the other SportDOG dials, but it's still a really good dial. You can feel the clicks in it. It's very smooth. One of my favorite dials on the market. Same thing for the buttons. SportDOG does a great job on their buttons. Very easy to feel and differentiate between the 3 different buttons on the transmitter. Small and small enough for a lanyard. There are not many transmitters that I actually like to wear around my neck like this, but this is one of them that I do. And it's small enough that you can even drop it in a pocket if you want to, still have easy access to it. But it's very light. You can keep it out of the way, and not so bulky that it's just going to be banging around. Waterproof, submersible, great for a duck hunting situation. So one of my favorite of the transmitters. Something that's different about the other X series collars is that the antenna on this unit is actually built into it. It is not a removable antenna. But great little compact transmitter, perfect for a lot of situations when you're looking for something small. Let's take a look at the 425X collar. The X series of SportDOG products have 2 different collar sizes. The 425 series units use the smaller collar. It's great for little bitty dogs. It'll go down to about 8-10 pounds very comfortably. Has a charging port on the back, got a flap to cover that up. It's got an on-off button in the middle here. And then you've got your contact points. They are removable, replaceable, and they've got short and long. Give you an idea here just so you can sort of see the difference. Long contact points are for your dogs with the thick coats. Standard shorter contact points for your regular dogs. These are insulated contact points too, so they work great in water. It's just a nice small unit. Something else, and this is one of those things that you don't really appreciate until you've had several e-collars out there. The quality of the collar strap is really a big deal. And we have manufacturers that change on this constantly, and I'm always harping on it. You're going to use the collar strap every time you put the collar on the dog. It's going to be one of those things that you're going to have to interact with. And so a high quality collar strap's a big deal. For years, SportDOG had some really, really bad collar straps, and we beat them up about it constantly. They have gone to a very high quality, well-made collar strap. You're going to be able to cut this collar strap, and it's not going to be a big deal. You can, they've got holes all the way through it, and so you figure out the size that you need. Don't cut it too short, but it's okay to cut it off, and you're not going to have the delamination problems that we see with some other products out there on the market. Other thing too is the buckle. Same thing there. It's kind of a big deal, but a lot of folks don't think about it. This is a combination buckle. We have a couple of different styles of buckles that are out there. We have, I call them canine buckles, but it's a square buckle. And what's nice about a square buckle is that it's hard for it to come off in the field. So you have it where it's very difficult for that to come loose in the field. But there are a lot of square buckles out there that don't have rollers on them. And folks like rollers because it makes it easier to put it on and off the dog. So that you've got this on the front here, you've got this roller, it makes it a little easier to put it on and off the dog. Most collars are either roller buckle collars or square buckle collars. SportDOGs combine the two of them. I don't know what we technically call this, but it's one of my favorites because it's the best of both. You've also got a keeper. And so cut your strap down based on the size of your dog, but keep in mind that he's growing, and you may need a larger strap, longer strap later. Other thing too is that straps are user replaceable. So if you need a new strap, you can replace that. Get them in different colors too. Let's talk about batteries. Both the transmitter and the collar use rechargeable lithium-ion batteries, great light batteries, and they charge really, really fast. You can get a full charge in about 2 hours from a completely drained battery. It comes with a dual lead charger, charge both at the same time, and both batteries are user replaceable. Got the screws in the back here, screws on the collar, so you can replace the batteries when you need to. Typically, we see 3 to 5 years on battery life on the rechargeables, and some of that depends on usage. The more you use it, the more you charge it, the longer the batteries are going to last. You stick it in the drawer and forget about it for a year, and you come back, your batteries aren't going to be as good. But lithium-ion batteries do really well for us. Great, easy to charge system. Typical runtime on these units is 50 to 60 hours of on time, so you don't really have to, excessive use, you're not going to have to charge it more than once a week, once every 10 days. I tend to charge my units more often than that. Transmitters, they tend to last a good bit longer than that, but I tend to charge my transmitters when I charge my collars. We don't have a memory problem with this particular type of battery, so overcharging them is not a problem. I generally don't recommend that once they're charged, you leave them on. Some people like to leave them on the chargers, but I generally don't recommend that. Once you get a full charge, take them off. A couple of other features in the 425X. You have the mode function, which we've talked about a little bit, but the mode function allows you to customize the transmitter depending on what you want. You can go from a single dog 21 level setup into a multi-dog 7 level tone, vibration. Biggest thing that it has outside of the normal things is that it will operate the Bird-Dog beeper, which that's the add-on beeper that the SportDOG sells, and you can add that to a 425 and use it in a Bird-Dog situation. It allows you to turn the beeper on and off from the transmitter. The 425X also comes with our exclusive Robin McFarland Basic E-Collar Training DVD. This will teach you how to start off your dog correctly with the e-collar. It's a product that we're really proud of. Comes free with the purchase of a 425X. I'm really pleased with how the 425X systems have turned out, especially just the standard 425X. I believe it's going to be one of our most popular systems. It's a drastic improvement on the 425 in my opinion, and I'm really happy with what they've done with this new collar. There's a couple of things about stimulation levels that you have to understand. Every dog is different. Every dog is going to have certain stimulation levels that work for them, and they're going to have certain stimulation levels that they require in certain situations. Typically, as the distraction level increases, the stimulation level is going to have to increase. So I want a collar that has a wide choice of stimulation levels because that allows me to give the dog the correct amount of stimulation for the situation. You also want to have gradual increases. You don't want big jumps in stimulation because what will happen is you'll have a stimulation level that the dog either doesn't feel or it's not strong enough for him to respond to it, and then you'll need to increase the stimulation. But if the jump is so high that now you have a level that the dog overreacts to, that you've created a negative situation where the dog is not responding in the way that we're looking for. We don't want overreactions to stimulation in most situations. In most situations, we want it to feel more like a tap on the shoulder where we go, no, listen to me, or this is what I want you doing right now. It doesn't need to be harsh or excessive. It needs to be precise for that situation. And so I'm looking for a collar that has a gradual increase. I need it to be strong for certain situations. I need it to be light for certain situations. And I need it to have increments in between so that I can gauge and change it as the situation changes. You're going to have situations where the dogs are highly distracted, especially dogs that have a lot of prey drive. And that's most of your hunting dogs, a lot of your working dogs. And so you need to be able to understand the levels and understand the situation, and you need to be able to increase those levels as distractions change. Typically, when I'm working dogs, my collars are going to stay on a 1 or a 2, but I need to be able to jump up to a 4, 5, 6, 7, depending on what's going on. Dog jumps a deer, chasing a rabbit. I came out of the house the other night and I had a possum run across the front of the driveway, and Biscuit just went straight after him. And so you have those situations where you need to be able to drastically increase the stimulation for the situation. This is a great system for that. Dial allows you the ability to go quickly up the ladder and find that level for that situation.